Good evening, I'm Abdullah Hussein. Welcome to Sudan in a Week on Al-Balad News. This week's roundup brings you the latest headlines and developments from Sudan. The World Health Organization has confirmed that more than 300 people have died from cholera in Sudan. The organization is closely monitoring the situation as the outbreak continues to spread. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated, "We are determined to reach a better outcome regarding Sudan. We are intensely focused on Gaza during this visit, but it's also important to focus on the humanitarian disaster in Sudan." Blinken added, "We have reached an agreement to bring aid to civilians in Sudan through crossings, which both the army and the RSF have agreed to." General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is set to travel to New York in mid-September to represent Sudan at the United Nations General Assembly. He will address the Assembly as the chairman of Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council following an official invitation from the UN. The Sudanese government has issued strict regulations to address overcrowding and challenges faced by travelers at Ashket and Argen border crossings. The new measures aim to streamline operations and alleviate congestion. Sudanese Minister of Education Professor Mahmoud Sir al-Khatim al-Houri passed away in Cairo earlier this week due to a heart attack. His sudden death has deeply shocked his family, students, and colleagues. In a positive development, public transportation has resumed operations at the Shuhada station in Durman. This move is expected to greatly ease travel for local residents. Abdullah Yahya was sworn in as a member of Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council before Chairman Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. Yahya's appointment strengthens the council's composition during this critical period. Sources have reported that Professor Muhammad Ali Mustafa, appointed in June 2021, has been relieved of his duties as Secretary General of the Sudanese Tax Authority. The reasons behind his dismissal remain undisclosed. The Supreme Coordination Council for Abyei Dinka Affairs has reiterated its commitment to implementing the agreed-upon protocols for Abyei region, emphasizing that there is no alternatives. Sudan's inflation rate soared to 193.94% in July, up from 136.67% earlier this year. The Central Bureau of Statistics indicated that the last recorded annual inflation rate before the war was 63.3% in February. A third Kuwaiti aid plane has landed at Port Sudan Airport, carrying essential food and medical supplies for flood and war victims in the affected states. The shipment is part of an ongoing humanitarian airlift operation. In an economic development, the governor of the Central Bank of Sudan announced upcoming arrangements for a currency change. The move is part of broader preparations for new economic measures. Mohamed Bashir Abu Namu, Sudan's Minister of Mineral Resources, responded to U.S. envoy Tom Perello's remarks, stating, "Any changes made by the government and its negotiation team are internal matters, and I do not understand what the U.S. envoy to Sudan, Tom Perello, meant by the delegation breach protocols. Two members of the negotiation team have already arrived in Cairo since last Monday. They are Sudan's ambassador to Riyadh, Wtfa'il al-Hajj, and the commissioner of the humanitarian aid, Salwa Bunaya." South Sudan President Salva Kiir Mayardit has officially received the credentials of General Issam Karrar as Sudan's ambassador to Juba, solidifying diplomatic relations between the two countries. The Director General of the Sudanese Civil Registry announced a large-scale crackdown, revoking the national IDs of numerous foreigners who have obtained them without legal documentation. Sudanese Foreign Minister has denied claims made by the U.S. envoy regarding a breach of protocols during the Cairo negotiation. He demanded a clarification on the alleged incident. Sudanese authorities have issued arrest warrants for 28 individuals, including politicians and foreign mercenaries, in connection with various ongoing investigations. Addis Ababa is set to host a press conference tomorrow where a new civil alliance led by former Sahwa leader Harun Madkhar and Juba peace agreement negotiator Ibrahim Zariba is expected to be announced. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is holding intensive discussions with officials from Egypt and Qatar, focusing on the ongoing situation in Sudan. Sudan's General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan emphasized the country's commitment to dialogue while asserting that certain red lines, particularly concerning the implementation of the Jeddah Agreement and the selection of monitors, cannot be crossed. Protesters in Rabak, White Nile and Adama River Nile have voiced their rejection of the Geneva negotiations, reiterating their support for the Sudanese armed forces. Sudanese businessman Ashraf Said Ahmed Al Cardinal has swiftly responded to a flood relief initiative, fully covering the cost of spraying equipment and medicines across all Sudanese states. The US Saudi mediation team issued a statement at the conclusion of the Geneva negotiations, emphasizing the critical role women can play in achieving peace in Sudan. The Rapid Support Forces continued their daily artillery bombardment of civilian homes in Kanadi and Thawrat areas of Omdurman, resulting in numerous injuries and the deaths of several children. Military analysts report significant advancements by the Sudanese army across vast areas of Khartoum and Al Jazeera. Airstrikes have successfully targeted strategic RSF positions, eliminating many of the malicious fighters and field commanders. In a significant diplomatic engagement, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, chairman of Sudan's Transitional Sovereignty Council, met with Egypt's intelligence chief, Minister Abbas Kamel. The meeting was also attended by Sudan's intelligence chief, General Mohammed Ibrahim Mufaddal. During the talks, al-Burhan expressed deep appreciation for Egypt's continued support and highlighted the historic and brotherly ties between the two nations. The discussions focused on the strong Sudan-Egypt relations and the shared challenges faced by both countries. Al-Burhan extended his gratitude to the Egyptian government and people under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. That's it for this week's top stories. Thank you for watching and see you next Friday on Al-Balad News. Have a great weekend.